The command hall was silent, the kind of silence that doesn't follow a speech but a decision. Major Evelyn Rhodes stood at attention while the rest of the officers lowered their salutes on command. All but her. From across the room, General Nathaniel Calder's gaze shifted. Subtle, sharp, like a man who'd seen insubordination before, but never from her. "Major," he asked, voice measured. She didn't move. Her arm remained raised, her eyes fixed forward, not on anyone in particular, just the far wall, just the idea of something larger. It wasn't defiance. It wasn't pride. It was something older. "I can't, sir," she said quietly. A murmur rippled behind her. Boots shifting on tile. The kind of unease that comes when protocol no longer holds the room together. "Explain," Calder said. "I respectfully decline to participate in Operation Cinder Sweep," she said, still not lowering her hand. "I believe it's based on compromised intelligence." Gasps didn't follow. Not yet. Just that stunned, suspended air like a room holding its breath. Calder stepped forward. He was tall, even for a general. His chest bore enough service ribbons to weigh down a lesser man. But his steps were quiet now, almost reverent. "You understand what you're risking." She finally looked at him. "I do. Court-martial. I've faced worse." His jaw flexed. "Are you calling this command corrupt, I'm saying? Something's wrong, deeply wrong, and if I lower my hand now, I'd be saluting a mistake." A long pause. One of the aides near the corner dropped their stylus. It clattered louder than thunder. Calder looked around the room. Officers, analysts, junior commanders all frozen, watching the exchange like they were seeing the edge of a cliff and weren't sure which side they stood on. Then, softly dismissed. "Major," she nodded, lowered her hand, not as surrender, but release, and walked out in total silence. She didn't slam the door, didn't look back, didn't flinch. And when the door clicked shut, no one spoke for a full 10 seconds, because whatever had just happened wasn't rebellion. It was a warning. The room was colder than it needed to be. Colonel Ward Halley sat across from her, sleeves rolled, fingers interlocked on the steel table. He wasn't angry. Not yet. Just tired. The kind of tired that comes from watching too many good officers crack for the wrong reasons. Major Evelyn Rhodes placed a weathered file on the table between them. "I didn't come here to challenge command," she said softly. "I came to show you this." Halley glanced at the folder. The name printed on the cover stopped him cold. Rourke. Miriam E. Lt. Colonel. Deceased. "I thought this file was sealed." He said, "It was." Evelyn replied, "Until last week. I requested a back-channel review from Signals. Turns out, it was never truly sealed, just buried." He opened it slowly. Photos, field logs, transcripts, coordinates, all tagged to Operation Harvest Gale, a mission 5 years ago that ended with a friendly fire report and a silent burial for a woman branded a traitor. "You're saying Rourke wasn't a mole," Halley said. "I'm saying she saw something and tried to stop it." Evelyn tapped a page halfway through the file. A topographic scan of Raventon Ridge, with movement patterns and signature spikes nearly identical to the recon briefs for Operation Cinder Sweep. "She died trying to expose this same pattern," Evelyn said. "And we're about to walk into it again." Halley leaned back, eyes narrowing. "This is thin." "It's not just data," she said. "It's instinct. Rourke died saving ghosts. I owe her. And I owe the men we're about to send into a trap." He watched her for a long time. "You still carry it, don't you?" he asked. She didn't answer. Halley reached into the folder and pulled out a photo, grainy, faded, but clear enough. 2 women in dusty fatigues, arms over each other's shoulders. One was Rourke, the other, Evelyn. Younger, bruised, still breathing. Rourke dragged me out of a crater after a mortar hit our convoy. Evelyn said, I had a ruptured lung. She kept me awake by naming every Marine she'd ever served with. I made it because she didn't stop talking. She paused. Now I'm the one who won't stay quiet. Hallie closed the file. If you're right, he said, and this thing's compromised, what's your plan? We feed them a lie. Evelyn said, something too tempting not to steal. Then we watch who bites. Hallie considered that. And if you're wrong, she looked him in the eye, then I'll resign, quietly, and disappear. A long silence fell. Then he slid the file back to her. Set the trap. The terminal flickered once, then again before stabilizing. Major Evelyn Rhodes leaned back in the worn metal chair. She hadn't slept. Not really. Not since the salute. Not since the folder. The walls of Langley Ridge Tactical Hub were lined with aging equipment the modern systems had long since forgotten. But that's why she was here, because ghosts don't speak through channels that get logged. She plugged in the old drive, Rourke's drive, encrypted, fragmented, but intact. The screen blinked. Then a video feed opened, grainy, black and white, time-stamped 11 days before Rourke's death. No salutes, no formalities. Just her, Miriam Rourke, sitting alone in a dim room, uniform dusty, voice low. If you're watching this, Evelyn, they've started it again. Evelyn leaned in. Her fingers hovered over the pause key, but didn't press. Cinder Sweep isn't new. It's Harvest Gale repackaged. Same terrain, same source, same bait. They used me once. I let them. I thought I was outsmarting the enemy. Turns out, I was handing over our own. The screen glitched. Audio crackled. There's a man inside, embedded, goes by Havid Malik. On paper, he's a liaison from Kasdan Intelligence, but his chain of command doesn't end in our hemisphere. Evelyn froze. She knew that name. Malik had briefed her team 3 days ago, with polished slides, clean data, just enough truth to keep the poison from smelling. The video continued. I won't make it back. You know that. But if you're hearing this, it means I left enough breadcrumbs. Trust your gut. Evelyn, you always did see further than I could. The feed ended. Just static now. She sat there, unmoving. Then she opened a new window. Not on the secure net. Not logged. Just local. She typed out a false op order. Mission title Winter Drill 6B Objective Routine Infrastructure Scan Raventon Ridge Quadrant Personnel involved. None data package, embedded decoy encryption. The kind of file a mole couldn't resist. She saved it, tucked it into a shell folder named Generator Calibration Notes. Then she waited. 5 minutes. Nothing. 12. At 17 minutes and 9 seconds, the system pinged. Unauthorized access IP masked. Trace incomplete, but not invisible. She smiled just a little. The trap was baited. But the ghosts weren't done speaking, because in the corner of the screen, buried in the last folder of the decrypted drive, was a second video. No timestamp, no header. Just one title for valor. And Evelyn's hand trembled. The air inside the operations center felt too still. 17 operators stood ready. The briefing screen glowed cold blue, cycling through terrain overlays of Raventon Ridge. The countdown to deployment ticked silently at the bottom corner, T-minus 13 minutes. Captain Joel Mercer adjusted his gear. Jaw tight. He didn't look at Major Rhodes. Not yet. General Calder entered the room. No aides, no entourage, just him. Clipboard in hand, boots silent against the tile. Final confirmations, he asked. Voice. Flat. The room murmured affirmatives. One by one. By protocol. Evelyn Rhodes stood at the edge of the room, no rank on display. No orders issued, just presence. And a file in her hand. Calder caught sight of her. but didn't speak. She stepped forward. "No new data?" she asked. Mercer turned. Confused. "What do you mean?" "Ma'am." She tapped the console. "Satellite ping from the ridge came in 35 minutes ago. Grid C9. Heat signature spiked. 4 bodies, 2 cargo drones, no allied identifiers." Calder's eyes narrowed. She tapped again, different screen. Different data. A raw feed. Still unconfirmed. Still real. The room shifted. Calder said nothing, just nodded once to the tech officer at the console. "Pull the last 10 minutes of external signals across BlackNet." The young sergeant obeyed. The screen flickered. Then it came. An encrypted message, format logistics recon. But the metadata told a different story. The first letters of each line spelled out a phrase, "Cinder is compromised." Calder exhaled, slow, controlled. The entire room stilled, one by one. The operators looked at one another, at the screen, at Evelyn. Captain Mercer took a step back. "Sir," he said quietly, "we're about to walk into a ghost op." Calder didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the front of the room, set his clipboard down, and faced Evelyn fully. His voice was clear. "No one moves." Then he did something no one expected. He stood at attention and saluted her. Sharp, slow, deliberate, not protocol, not forced, just quiet acknowledgement. A few heartbeats passed. Then Mercer saluted too. Another operator followed, then another, until 17 soldiers stood in stillness, saluting a woman who never raised her voice, never pulled rank, and never backed down. Evelyn didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply nodded. Once for Rourke, for every forgotten name on the missions that never made the news. Then, softly, Calder spoke. "Colonel Langdon is in custody." The vehicle scheduled to intercept Valor Team was traced to a private contract tied to Malik. He's already left the country. And Valor, Evelyn asked, diverted, safe. She closed her eyes. "Just for a second. Then we did it." She whispered. "No," Calder said. "You did." A voice from the back broke the silence. "Mercer, she's not just command. She's the reason I'm alive." No one spoke after that. There was no need, because real salutes, the ones that matter, aren't about hierarchy. They're about truth. And sometimes, they aren't protocol. They're penance. The wind at Pineview was quieter than Evelyn remembered. Not soft, just still. Rows of white headstones stretched in silent precision. Each one a name, a story, a sacrifice. She stood before one marker, hand resting lightly on the granite surface. The letters were crisp, recently carved. Let Colonel Miriam Rourke, 1975, 2020, Veritas Silentium. Truth in silence. There was no crowd, no cameras, no speech. Just one woman in uniform, standing in the morning chill, remembering the friend who died dishonored so others could live unburdened. She whispered nothing. Some grief doesn't need words. Behind her, boots approached measured, respectful. Captain Joel Mercer came to a halt 3 steps away. No salute, no greeting. He held a folded paper in his hand. "Thought you should see this," he said quietly. It was a commendation signed by General Calder himself. Valor Team Commendation. Category Black Reason Prevention of Catastrophic Friendly Fire Event. Operation Cinder Sweep. Evelyn scanned the lines. Her name wasn't on it. Rourke's was. "She's been reinstated?" Evelyn asked. Mercer nodded. "Officially cleared. Records updated? They won't say it loudly. But it's there." She folded the paper slowly. Then Mercer hesitated. "There's more," he said. From his pocket, he pulled a small object, a metal pin, faded, tarnished. The insignia of Ghost Division 12. A unit that no longer existed on paper. A relic from wars no one claimed. I found it in the field locker. Mercer said, "It was Rourke's, but the tag behind it had your name." Evelyn stared at it for a long time, then closed her fist around it. "I'm not a ghost," she said. "No, ma'am." Mercer said, "But you walk among them." They stood in silence a while longer. Then Mercer cleared his throat. "One of our rookies, Private Halstead, he asked me yesterday why we still do this. Why we still serve when the system can forget names like Rourke's." "And what did you say?" Evelyn asked. I said. Mercer paused. "Because we remember, and we make damn sure the next ones do too." Evelyn nodded. She looked back at the headstone. "I'm transferring," she said quietly. "Fort Grayson. They're standing up a new division. Internal threat review. Rourke's name is on the door." Mercer smiled. "Let me guess. Quiet office, long hallways. Files no one reads." She didn't deny it. "Someone has to make sure the system doesn't eat its own." He nodded again, then turned to leave. Before he did, he looked back once more. "She saved you once." He said, "Now you saved her name," when Evelyn was alone again. She knelt, not out of grief, but out of promise. She placed the ghost pin gently at the base of the stone, then whispered, just loud enough for the wind to hear, "I didn't forget." As she stood, a soft sound caught her ear. Footsteps. She turned. A young soldier approached, barely old enough to shave. Eyes steady, hands behind his back. "Ma'am," he said, nervous but clear. "I was told to report to Major Rhodes for assignment." She raised an eyebrow. "Who told you that?" He hesitated. "Someone in Intel said I'd learn more from you than any manual." She almost smiled. "Name Private Elkins." "Ma'am." She glanced once more at the stone, at the empty air beside it, then back at the boy. "Walk with me," she said, "because statues fade and medals tarnish. But stories, the right stories, they find their way forward. One step, one hand, one soldier at a time.